Welcome to Working for Women, the Independent Women's Forum podcast, where we are changing the conversation about women and public policy for the better.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Schaefer, the Executive Director of the Independent Women's Forum, and I'm very pleased to be joined by Congresswoman Barbara Comstock from Virginia. We are honoring Barbara Comstock this November at our Woman of Valor Gala, and we are very excited to have this conversation today. One of the reasons we wanted to honor you is because of your remarkable leadership, not only as a Congresswoman, but also as a role model for women and girls. But I wanted to start with your role on Capitol Hill. You have taken an interesting path to Congress that I think a lot of us working mothers would be interested in, and I thought maybe you could briefly share the path that took you there.
Well, great. Well, it's great to be with you, and thank IWF and its mission, which I first became familiar with when I worked on Capitol Hill in the 1990s, and I worked with Barbara Olson, who was a colleague of mine, who was one of the founders of IWF. So it is really sort of a particular thrill, having known one of the founders so well and worked so closely with her to have this honor. So I appreciate it. And I know the great work you're doing on, free markets and free people, and I think really empowering women. So knowing somebody like Barbara, who is brave and fearless, was a real turning point, I think, in my career in terms of working with a strong woman like that. But I came from sort of a line of my mother, my grandmother. My mom was a working mom who got her college degree and 2 master's degrees, I think it is, if I'm remembering correctly, in the course of her education career. And we had a family of 3 girls, as the oldest of 3 girls. Her sister, who I'm named after, had 4 girls. So we all kind of grew up to 7 girls and cousins together, and it was just a whole pack of women, and my grandfather and my dad, and so, it was always, you can do and accomplish anything you want. And so, being on Capitol Hill and seeing in the 90s and working on the legislative front, then I really enjoyed it and never intended to run myself. I enjoyed being involved in the political process. Then I was in the Justice Department. Then I was out in the private sector and ended up starting my own business. And it was not something I was thinking of doing, but my children were grown and in college, and the Speaker of the House in Virginia came to me along with Frank Wolf and said, "We need somebody to run in the seat. Would you consider it?" And actually, before I had made my decision, the Speaker of the House accidentally told a room full of people that I had made my decision and was going to run. And even though I hadn't decided yet, when he said it, and everybody in the room said, "Yay, you should, great, we're glad you're doing it," I said, "Okay, this feels okay." And I was certainly very fond of, I just gotten to know the speaker and meet him, but I really appreciated, his support and his enthusiasm. He's just been a great man to work with, and has been somebody who was very encouraging, throughout my state legislative career. And then Frank Wolf had, encouraged me to run in the first place and put us together. So it actually ended up 2 men who kind of pushed me in the pool to do this when I hadn't been thinking, caused me to in turn realize, a lot of times women just push the women to run for office or to even, push for a senior role in a lot of things. So I started a Young Women's Leadership Program back in 2013 when I was in the State House, and have continued it through while I've been in Congress. We have over 250 young women now, high school girls, who we get them in front of women leaders in all fields, business, government, politics, medicine, any startups, entrepreneurs, journalists. We've had them learn. So we really tried to get them in front of these women leaders and have them tell their story. And I read the book Lean In, which Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook wrote, and I related to a lot of those things and realized I myself had not pushed myself into this, nor have my women friends been as inclined to push me. Although I have to say, when I did first run, the women were the first, once they said, "Oh, why do you want to do this?" Once I decided, they were all in. They had my first events. They've always been the backbone of of all of my campaigns and efforts and my sounding board. So I just wanted to pass that on, and so I started the leadership program. So I meandered off a bit here, but just wanted to put all that out there.
Certainly, Congress will be leaving for August recess shortly. But when you return in September, I was wondering, what some of your top policy concerns are and what you're hoping to accomplish for the remainder of 2015 and then looking ahead to 2016.
Well, right now we're still finishing up a transportation bill, and I'm on the transportation committee, and we have the House has a temporary transportation bill. The Senate is also working on a version. That we're going to have some challenges on matching that up, but I think it's very important that we set up a structure to be able to have a long-term bill. And what we had done is we had a short-term bill to get us through the end of the year. So our Transportation Committee and the Ways and Means Committee could work together on a way to pay for a longer-term transportation bill. So that's going to be, I think one of the top priorities for the fall. And then we passed already in the House the 21st Century Cures bill, which I'm particularly excited about because I really do feel both in the medical field and then as technology becomes more involved and part of the whole medical community, that we have some great opportunities to have some breakthroughs in medical detections of diseases, managing diseases, and ultimately to cure them and getting us on that path. And so that's an area I'm very excited to work on. And I'm on the Science and Technology Committee. I chair the Research and Technology Subcommittee, and I also chaired the Science and Technology Committee in the State House. I've worked a lot with the technology community, and they are becoming very engaged and involved in medical research and in startups funding medical research and sort of having more entrepreneurs in that area. So I'm really excited about sort of being a conduit to bring people together on that effort, which I think is, really an exciting development for the future. And then, of course, we still have our budget to finish up and lots of other things that we will.
Right. Small things. Well, that technology component is so important. And, one of the reasons that IWF has, we certainly recognize you as a champion for limited government, but also as a proponent for a free and open internet. And that's something that certainly has been debated recently again on Capitol Hill. What are you taking away from that? And maybe you can share with some of our listeners why this is such an important issue for women.
Well, because I think having free and open access to the internet is a way that women, where they're working or they're at home, if they're all the juggling we do, the internet kind of gives access to everybody. And whether it's being we had Sheryl Sandberg came in to speak to us, the Bipartisan Women's Caucus this week, and she talked about some startups on Facebook and people starting their businesses and then promoting them on Facebook. She had the example of one of the cupcake companies around here in Washington started up by just saying, hey, our cupcake truck is going to be at this address, come out, at lunchtime and, at these hours over here. And Facebook and, engaging in that way allows people to start small and then grow. But it also allows all that communication, busy women, women often are the person in the family who's dealing with healthcare, whether it's of children or of aging parents or their own. And so having that constant access to information on your own time, on your own terms, and making that decision yourself, and I think it really empowers. I mean, I did some telecommuting when I was a young mom, but I had a computer at home, and I could write speeches for Congresswoman Wolf's home, but I didn't nearly the technology that young moms have today. And I think that's so exciting because you can be sometimes it's bad because you can be doing work wherever you are, but it also gives you flexibility to decide how you want to work and when you want to work and how to juggle your responsibilities. And I think that, the on-demand economy, whether it's Uber or Lyft, and all of the ways we are providing new ways for people to work. It comes down to having more control over your lives and living the life that you want, and then exploring new opportunities. Say if you're in a job and you're trying to maybe think about maybe doing something next, now you can do online classes. Now you can maybe start that small online business before you leave your job, so you don't have as much risk involved, but you have more opportunity. So I very much support, not taxing the internet, the net neutrality things that the FCC that they're trying to push. That's misnamed. That's not what it is.
Right. I
oppose that.
Right.
Yeah, we have in Congress, certainly Republicans in Congress have been very strongly against the FCC action, and at different turns we're trying to. I think the Senate this week took some action to try and stop, being able to implement some of the things they're doing there. So it's the internet has been working very well, and we do not want to do anything to harm that. We want to maximize that potential, because I think that is it's become an appendage for all of us, our phones to connect us with I think, again, in healthcare, that's going to be something
right.
We're going to be able to have a lot more control over our lives. My daughter, while she was pregnant, she has a 6-month-old now, but she had an app on her phone every day with tracking what's going on with the baby. This is how many days old, and here's the kind of things that are going on, and she could send me things, and we could watch videos and see, you may want to eat more of this. Make sure you're, getting your exercise. All these little reminders that are, a great use of technology that sort of, I think, empowers women.
Absolutely. And I think in many ways technology has been a great equalizer for men and women, right? I think men recognize the values of a flexible work arrangement just as much as women, and it is helping men and women balance work and family and home responsibilities. So there's lots of wonderful things. You touched a little bit on
you're right. When I go out on campaigns and knock on doors, I find dads home a lot now. And sometimes very senior dads who are home on a Friday or they're home on a Monday.
Yeah.
And their technology enables them to work and actually be more a part of their children's lives. So I shouldn't just leave it to moms. You're exactly right, because I've seen it in real life, and actually with my daughter and my son-in-law, he is doing that to, give him a little bit more flexibility, and he's very much an equal partner in parenting as a result.
It's so exciting to see those changes happening. And, it takes us sort of to this notion that very often the narrative coming from the left, from progressive women's groups, about women and girls is so negative, and it suggests that society and schools and the workplace are hostile toward women, that opportunities are not available for girls and for women. And I was wondering how your work with the Young Women's Leadership Program has impacted your view of women and girls today, and what the message is that you share with them, because I suspect it's very, very different.
Yeah, well, it's great to hear from the women we have come in. Many of them I've known for years, some are new, but we do see a continuity in their stories and how and a lot of things that I didn't even know about, where they talk about how they were, maybe afraid to take that, that leap into the big job, but what did that open? They also talk often about failures and the risks they took, but how the risks were turned into, the next success, because, whether it's a failure or a success, you're always going to learn something from it, and not to be afraid to risk, because often women are more afraid to take some of those bigger risks and fail, and to understand that women may feel a little bit different about these things than men might, but, that all these successful women that they've been hearing, that the young women get to hear from, that they've all had the same fears that we all had. I mean, I remember in high school, I never would have considered running for a class office. I was absolutely terrified to do something like that and get up in front of a group and speak, and then have your friends vote for you and face rejection. And that's natural. And so it's, I share that with the young girls. I felt exactly like you. And then it's great the young women kind of come out of their shells and blossom. One of the things that's been very fun is so many of the dads talk about how much they like the program and what a great thing it's been for their daughters. And so now dads, and this is something Cheryl Sandberg talked to us about, making sure that the men, really understand the value of this and having more women at the table. And that's exactly what we're seeing when these dads bring in, oftentimes they drop the daughters off from events, and then sometimes they'll stay we invite sometimes the parents to come to different events, and the dads will come as well as the moms. So we all sort of learn from each other, and it's exciting, and to see that these young girls have the whole world in front of them, and that they can do, and that first of all, that we need them, we need their leadership, and that they can see how in their lifetime they're going to get to have so many more opportunities to jump around and do different things, and how they can use modern technology to adapt to the life that they want at different times in their life. And so they can make that decision. They've heard from moms who worked all throughout, having kids, other moms who took time off and then went back into the workplace. And, they talk about how they balance that with their spouses, or in some cases with single moms, and how they've juggled that and the support system they've set up. So I feel like we're kind of giving them a 360-degree view of both exciting opportunities and challenges they have ahead. But one of the things that's also always come through is to have a strong set of girlfriends, depend on them. Most of our people, certainly in my case, always say how much a big influence their mothers were on. So I always like to tell them, listen to your mom. And because that's something that comes through very strongly. And take risks, not be afraid to take a risk, and not fail.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. This was such a delight to hear all of your thoughts, and I know our listeners will enjoy it as well.
Well, thank you, Sabrina, and thank you for your leadership with IWF. I know, you're one of those moms who's juggling all of these challenges today and balancing work and family, and I appreciate all the great work that IWF does and your leadership role for women and for young women, and you really have gotten lots of people engaged. So I really look forward to continuing to work with you all, and certainly I'm very honored to be joining you for the dinner later on this year. And I know I'll see a lot of the great women like Lynn Cheney and Barbara Olson and so many of our friends who have worked with IWF throughout the years. So thank you again for the opportunity to get.
Thank you for listening to another Working for Women podcast. For more information about the Independent Women's Forum, or to attend the Women of Valor Gala on November 18th here in Washington, D.C., please visit our website at iwf.org.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please give it a thumbs up, share it on social media, or stop by iwf.org for similar content.